stand between my men.
Christopher Nolan's newest film had gathered so many dislikes that it's hard to ignore. The Odyssey had already become one of the most argued about releases of the year.
Well, coming out of my last film, Oppenheimer, had way more success than I think we had any right to expect.
The ambition behind the project was never in question. Christopher Nolan had just come off Oppenheimer, a 3-hour historical drama that many assumed would struggle commercially, and instead grossed close to $1 billion worldwide and won Best Picture.
The basis of it is to get the actors, get Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, everybody, Rob Pattinson, get them out there in the world, find locations, real locations, get a real boat.
Universal Pictures backed his next move with a $250 million budget, a sprawling cast that included Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, Lupita Nyong'o, Zendaya, and Charlize Theron, and a marketing campaign built around the idea that only one director working today could turn a nearly 3,000-year-old poem into a summer event.
And I feel like the wisest person I know is definitely my grandmother.
I think Matt said something the other day that really resonated with me, that every movie he has made has led to this moment. And Chris said the same thing.
Demand looked extraordinary from the start. IMAX 70mm screenings sold out in multiple cities a full year before release, an almost unheard of gap between ticket sales and premiere. To understand the scale of the reaction, it helps to look at what people were actually writing. This movie looks like it was made cheaply. The dialogues don't seem to work. The sound design seems off. The voiceovers seem fake. The acting look amateurish. People just expected something spectacular and mind-blowing, and this looks extremely corny and cheap-looking costume design. It looks like America's slop. Now, according to this viewer, most of Christopher's films lean heavily on visual polish, big-name casts, and memorable set pieces, while the actual writing tends to be mediocre and sometimes worse. A weakness the commenter felt was usually masked by how impressive everything looked on screen. The trailer for The Odyssey, in this person's view, offered none of that trade-off.
I want you to choose me.
Ithaca's king is coming back.
People show up to a Nolan film expecting spectacle, the comment argued, and this particular trailer looked cheap by comparison. These reactions and comments point to something distinct from the casting arguments already covered. It was not really about representation or historical accuracy at all. It was a long-time pattern of expectation, built up over a decade and a half of blockbusters, running into a piece of marketing that seemed to break that pattern.
It needs a massive budget, it needs a massive cast, it needs a lot.
Right.
So you're asking a lot of the studio, you're asking a lot of the cast and everybody. You know, I like to say it was a very hard movie.
For a director whose brand has always rested on scale, in the sense that every frame cost real money and real craft, a trailer that reads as visually underwhelming threatens the exact thing that made people show up in the first place.
Unbelievable. And it's testament to the power of the story itself.
Comments like this one suggest the backlash was never a single argument. It was several different complaints about casting, about dialogue, about visual identity, all converging on the same trailer at the same time, each reinforcing the sense that something about this project had gone wrong before anyone had actually seen the finished film. But the tone of the conversation shifted fast when Helen was shown. People's reaction to her is worse than the whole film itself.
I just wanted to feel royal and at ease and sensual and powerful, and this dress gave me all of that.
The role of Helen of Troy went to Lupita Nyong'o, an Academy Award-winning actress. Online, a portion of the audience pointed to a specific detail from the source material, arguing that Homer's original text describes Helen with white arms, and used that line to question the choice. The casting of transgender actor Elliot Page as the soldier, Sign On became another flashpoint. Drawn out further once it was revealed the character does not even appear by that name in the 2 original poems the film draws from. But you are not ready for this next intruder in the film.
Travis, straight ahead. Travis.
Rapper Travis Scott was cast as a wandering bard, a decision that drew its own wave of disbelief from viewers who felt the casting leaned towards star power over craft.
Everybody was done. I mean, people were just exhausted.
Right.
They'd been through it. And so, you know, it took the right time to make the film. We had enough time to make it. We had the resources to make it.
And running underneath all 3 of those individual arguments was a broader complaint, one that got repeated across comment sections and video essays alike, that a story rooted specifically in ancient Greece had been cast almost entirely without actors of Greek or wider Mediterranean descent.
Would probably be a bit of a pain in the to watch the Odyssey with.
90 seconds into the story, the obvious question is why any of that would matter enough to generate hundreds of thousands of angry reactions. The answer is that casting was only the first layer. Fans who had shown up expecting the heightened, formal register typically associated with mythological adaptations instead heard something that sounded, in their words, distractingly current. Production design drew its own round of scrutiny. History-focused viewers picked apart the armor as inconsistent with what archaeological evidence suggests soldiers of that era actually wore. And several pointed out that the ships used in the film resembled Norse longships rather than anything associated with the Aegean. None of those criticisms on their own would likely have been enough to generate 250,000 dislikes on a single video, and the complaints did not stop there.
Sometimes there's like little signs for things in your life when you connect with the character, and yeah, I feel really lucky to be, you know, an embodiment of wisdom as well.
Once the first trailer landed, attention turned to who was barely in it. Zendaya had been announced as part of the ensemble months earlier, cast as the goddess Athena, a role fans had specifically been looking forward to, given her scale as a star. When the initial footage arrived, though, her presence in it was minimal. So brief that entertainment outlets ran entire pieces trying to work out where her character actually was in the story being teased. For a portion of the audience, that absence read less like a coincidence and more like a strategy. The sense that her name and face were being used to sell tickets and drive engagement without the studio actually committing screen time to justify it. Fans pointed out that this was not a small supporting player being held back for a surprise reveal. This was one of the most recognizable actresses in the world, attached to a film built almost entirely on star power, seemingly used as a hype generator rather than an actual presence in the marketing. Commentators noted a particular irony, that trade outlets which had spent months celebrating other productions for careful cultural representation were the same outlets dismissing these specific criticisms as bad faith noise, a contradiction that only fed the sense among critics that the anger was being talked past rather than addressed.
I understand. It's a pun. Puns in translation are tough. Do you do a lot of puns in your monologues every night? That, you know?
We do sometimes, but only because we write the show at a 5th grade level.
By the time the film's marketing rollout hit its final stretch, a Nolan release, a director whose films are typically treated as guaranteed events, had been effectively pulled into the same online battlefield, usually reserved for franchise reboots and superhero recastings. And that sets up the part of this story that does not follow the pattern most people expect. When the Odyssey actually opened on July 17th, 2026, the box office numbers told a different story than the online conversation had predicted. The film debuted to $124.5 million domestically from just under 4,000 theaters, and combined with international markets, pulled in $264 million globally in its opening weekend alone. It raises a question that extends well beyond this single film. How much of what circulates as outrage before a release actually reflects the audience that eventually shows up to watch it?
I can't wait for people to see the performances, like leaving me out of this, of all the other actors. What was across from me the entire time.
250,000 dislikes on a trailer represents a specific and vocal slice of the internet. it does not necessarily represent the millions of people who quietly bought tickets on opening weekend without posting about it at all. What remains unresolved is what the backlash actually cost the film, if anything. Word of mouth, long-term box office legs, and award season positioning all still lay ahead at the time of its debut, and a strong opening weekend does not guarantee a strong overall run.
When I saw my wife in New York, we both wept. The movie hits you so hard in the solar plexus. It's that powerful.
Some releases open well and collapse quickly once broader audiences catch up with the online conversation. Others open under a cloud of controversy and go on to have long, successful theatrical lives once people simply watch the film instead of the discourse surrounding it. So, who knows what the next reactions would sound like? Let us know your views in the comments below.